Many of us in the West have no interest whatsoever in the ongoing quarrels of the Muslims with each other. And partly I can understand that. We're at ease. What does it matter to us? But it does matter. I'll tell you why in one more minute. But first, no, I'll tell you now. It matters because we just sent 4,500 young Americans to their death in Iraq, while the nation disintegrates into a 1,400-year-old civil war between the Shiites and the Sunnis that has never gone away and is unlikely to go away until either the end of time or until Islam as a political military force is extinguished from the earth, okay? And the reason it matters to us is because as we send soldiers into harm's way in nations where Sunnis and Shiites have been killing each other privately, secretly, or in the open for centuries, we may lose our sons and our daughters, okay? And it also matters because these two groups, neither of them have a history of democracy. So if we send our sons and daughters and we send our treasure to try and do something that is literally impossible, then we are not only on a fool's errand, but we could be literally squandering our treasure and putting our beloved children in harm's way for no good end. And if you hear a humming in the background, that's one of our neighbors cutting a tree down or something in our temporary studio here in Memphis. So I am a student of Islamic history. I have a master's degree in diplomacy and international terrorism, and a very large part of my master's study involved historic and modern day Islam, okay? So I take all of this very seriously. The reason that the Sunnis and the Muslims hate each other, or the Sunnis and the Shiites hate each other, very simple. After Muhammad died, there were 4 caliphs. The Sunnis call them the rightly guided caliphs. A Khalifa is someone who is a successor. They had to be a companion of Muhammad, and they had to be good men. Well, the first 3, Abu Bakr, who reigned for 2 years, Umar, and then Uthman. Umar was 10 years and Uthman was 12 years. Some people spell Umar with a U, which is proper. Some spell it with an O because the transliteration doesn't work. Anyway, those 3 were not blood relatives, but Ali, the 4th caliph, was a blood relative. Now, the party of Ali, Shia al-Ali, abbreviated to Shiites, the party. Shiites believed that Muhammad's heir, his successor, should have the same blood in his veins. They wanted to follow the dynastic practice, the practice of a dynasty that involved blood relatives taking the throne. The Sunnis said, that word is related to the path, all right? The Sunni Muslims said, no, a caliph can be anybody as long as he's rightly guided. And for the original caliphs, he had to be a companion of Muhammad. And so literally, within 20 years of Muhammad's death, the Muslim community degenerated into this type of fierce bloodshed, and it never went away, all right? Caliphs emerged over time. Most of the caliphs throughout Islamic history were, in fact, Sunni, but there were times when the Shiites held control of large portions of the Islamic world. But overall, it's been the Sunnis. The Shiites have always comprised the minority, all right? In Iran, however, they have a majority, and in Iraq, they have a majority. That's why Iran is saying, we'll send in troops. We want to keep a Shiite government, a Shiite-led government in power in Iraq. They're our brothers. It's so much uglier than the Catholic-Protestant quarreling at its worst places in history. It's so much worse, it's beyond our comprehension. But think of the most maniacal anti-Catholic Protestant that you can, or think of the most intense Roman Catholic that you can who hates the Protestant Reformation. And those examples wither into nothing compared to the infighting of the Shiites and the Sunnis. So for Obama to say, we're not going to support one sector or another, Malachi, you guys all have to figure this out. You have to get along at the table. You have to come together and work this out. It's the good ship lollipop. It's ludicrous. It ignores 1,400 years of bloodshed, including one of the successors, Uthman III and Ali IV, who were both murdered by people from the other Islamic sect. All right? The very companions of Muhammad himself were murdered by people who thought, no, it's got to be a blood relative. No, it doesn't have to be a blood relative. It could be anybody. That's the depth of the root of this murderous bloodshed that is involved in the Shiite-Sunni conflict. And Obama's wishful thinking is not going to make it go away. It's laughable on its face. Do we have time to play one more clip? Sure. All right, play that last clip and we'll go on to something else.
What's clear from the last decade is the need for the United States to ask hard questions before we take action abroad, particularly military action.
And here, friends, is where the broken clock is right twice a day. We should be asking hard questions before we send American troops overseas. We should have gone into Afghanistan and decimated the Taliban and just gotten out. Nation building in an Islamic country? Are you kidding me? Break the back of the terrorists, leave dead bodies strewn, and then get out. And tragically, we wasted our one Middle Eastern silver bullet. Maybe we'll have another one, but I don't know. We wasted our silver bullet on the wrong nation. Bush's people had no business going into Iraq. They sold us a bill of goods. And we wasted the silver bullet on the wrong nation. It wasn't Iraq that was a threat. It was Iran. And now Iran is on the verge of having nuclear weapons. And we could be in a heap of trouble. I'll be back to talk with you about David and Gideon and you